Welcome to KC Cares. We're the voice of Kansas City nonprofits and leash sectors to enhance the quality of life in Kansas City for both our residents and our visitors. I'm Ruth Baum-Biggis. You know, in every corner of our community, there are people doing the hard, often unseen work of rebuilding their lives. And there are also organizations walking right alongside them every step of the way. Today, we're shining a light on one of those places, Healing House KC. Since 2002, it has been helping men and women navigate substance use disorder recovery, not just through treatment, but through something even deeper, safe housing, steady support, and a true sense of belonging. On any given day, around 220 individuals are living in one of their 15 homes or 3 apartment buildings, finding stability, structure, and hope. And over the years, more than 15,000 people have been served by Healing House KC, each with their own story of challenge, resilience, and recovery. This is the kind of work that changes not just individual lives, but families and entire communities. And today we're going to hear more about how it all happens and why it matters so much from its founder, Bobbi-Jo Reed. Bobbi-Jo, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I am so delighted to have you here. All right. So I'm used to saying Bobby, but it's usually to my partner. So I'm glad to have another Bobby with a great story to tell. I do hope that you will be comfortable in sharing how you got to this point of creating Healing House. You have a very personal story.
Yes. I started because when I got into recovery years ago, I figured out I was carrying the message to a lot of places, and I figured out that there were 900 women going through treatment in our community. Yes.
Wow.
900 of them with we had less than 30 beds in our city for women coming out of treatment. And it was just, I was shocked. I was like, wait a minute, where are all these women going? And so if you return back to where you came from and you go back to the same circumstances, we say in recovery, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And that's the truth. So they were going back to domestic violence or trafficking or a lot of different circumstances. So I thought, man, I need to do something to help these women. 900 women annually, 30 beds. That doesn't make sense to me. So literally, the Lord put on my heart to do something to help these women. I had, my parents had both died. I was in recovery myself at 7 years, and I had experienced homelessness and a lot of awful things, trafficking myself. And so I knew how hard it was to get on your recovery journey and stay on it. And one of the main things was stable housing and just a safe environment. And so I came into a small inheritance of $50,000. I had been looking for a house that I could help women in, and I found an old nursing home in historic Northeast community. And it was a 23-room house, and it was in such disrepair. It was $50,000, the same amount, identical amount that I had coming. And so I bought that old nursing home, and, I lost 60 pounds working on that home. And,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had been carrying the message, and I was not a carpenter, please believe that, but I learned as I went, and many needs in the house. And so I started working on the house. The women started coming. The house became full. 2 months after I got the home, the drug dealer moved in next door, ran prostitutes, sold dope, brandished weapons, threatened us, brought female gang members from Chicago to try to scare me out of the house. And quite frankly, when I got here about 25 years ago, this was a war zone. Gangs, pimps, prostitutes, drug dealers. Not 3 hours would pass without hearing gunshots, but I knew this is where God wanted me. And so I did everything I could legally to get the dope man out of there, but he finally started using his own product. And a year and a half later, the house became empty, and I was able to get the dope man's house. And so that was healing house number 2. And it has just went from there. Then women were coming that were pregnant, and I didn't have room in the main houses to have babies. And so there's an abandoned apartment building a half a block away, and I kept peeking in the windows. And the neighbor said, "Lady, what do you want?" And I'm like, "I need these apartments." So I found out how to do a property search, found out who owned it. And with the equity that I had from the first 2 properties, I was able to get a 14-bed, 1-bedroom unit apartment building. And I mean, the cement floors in the basement had totally deteriorated. This building was in bad shape. Me and my buddy had a cement truck put the spout down in the basement. We poured new cement foundation in the basement. And one apartment at a time, I furnished them with stuff from the thrift store. And the women would come to me, get stable in their recovery, and then go to the hospital and have their baby and come home to a fully furnished apartment and start their new journey. And at first it was just new mothers. And then I had older ladies in my program that said, "Hey, I live over here with all these crazy young girls. Can I get an apartment?" And it turned into a beautiful relationship because they were empty nesters and started drinking late in life and had already raised their families. So they were able to help the new mothers and became mommy mentors and just community. And what has transpired in the last 24 years is that this community has been transformed one life, one home at a time. And we currently have 17 homes, 30 apartments.
Wow.
Yes, yes.
All right. For those, pardon me, for those of us that toil in the nonprofit world, you make it sound so easy. And we know that it's not. So let me ask you, at what point did you decide, well, hey, maybe I need a nonprofit or I need an organization of some kind to further this? And how did you go about doing that?
Well, I figured out how to do a 501c3. That took a lot of time. I did that myself. I didn't hire anybody. I filed an incorporation here in the city. I got incorporated, and then I filed the 501c3. And back then, it took like a year and a half to get my 501c3.
Right.
And so I got that because people, I had no clue what I was doing. I just wanted to help these women. So I filed the paperwork, eventually got it because people were saying, "Well, I want to donate. How do I donate?" And I had no way for that. So that's how I figured out about the 501c3. Now, we were raised very organically around here, very grassroots. I want to say that, early on, 9 months in, I had an older lady join me, and she was my helpmate through a bunch. And then it was amazing because I had people coming in that had different skill sets that could help me with different things. And we grew as an organization and just one property at a time. And what happened is that old nursing home I got for $50,000, it appraised when I got done with it. A lot of sweat, tear, and blood equity in it. It appraised for $194,000. So that gave me equity. The second house I got for $37,000. When I got done, it appraised for $186,000. Again, equity. The old apartment building, I got it for low and it appraised higher. And so basically I learned how to do property searches, and I found the worst of the worst abandoned homes that, I'm one of those people that I can see beauty in complete chaos or something that most people would say bulldoze it down. I can see beauty in it. And I love this community. And the houses were built well back in the day when they were built, 1800s, early 1900s. And so just went in and did the work. I was in a barn in DeSoto, Kansas, that I'm I was at a clothing sale, and it was designer clothes. And these people said, if you work for a week, we'll give you the clothes for your ladies. And I'm like, okay. And I met a man there. Why his wife stopped me and him talk, and he said he's going to nominate me for a Christian Passion Servant Award. I'm like, okay. Year and a half passes. I'm in bed with pneumonia, and I get a phone call, and Judy comes in and she says, Bobbi-Jo, you got to get this call. It's a man on the phone. I think you should take it. Now I'm in bed with pneumonia. She probably thought it was my last chance at love or something. So I get on the phone, and this guy that I had talked to, he was the guy, We Buy Ugly Houses, J.D. Asheville. And he said, I've been meaning to call you, and I got a house down there by you, and everything I try to do with it, it falls through. What do you want to go look at it? And I'm like, well, he said, what do you think? And I said, well, I think I don't have any money, JD. Now, what do you think? And he said, I think if you can use it for your organization, I'll give it to you. And there is miraculous healing powers with the word free house, right? So I went immediately, and the neighborhood was even in worse shape than where I was currently doing my homes. And I knew that I couldn't put single women there, but a bunch of drunk men outside hooting and hollering, carrying on. I'm like, no, this has to be men. So when I walked away that day, I knew that house would be for men. And so that expanded our services to men as well. And it also gave me the ability to establish credit for Healing House, which before everything had been in my name just because Healing House had not established any credit. So I had to have it in my name. But after he gave me that house and I fixed it up, it had equity again. And it also gave us a basis to start to build on. And so from then on, the things could be in Healing House name. And I arranged for the company to be able to purchase the other homes from me. And so everything would be in the non-for-profit name because I didn't want to have connection. That's just how I had to start. Everything had to be on my credit. And so this established us a credit line where we could start establishing Healing House as its own entity.
Good move. So you didn't have to stay up late at night and worry about all of that.
Well, I still did. There's plenty to worry about when you have a non-for-profit, and in particularly when you're dealing with the folks that we deal with, the brokenness, and addiction is but a symptom. And addiction is, physical is the easiest part to deal with. Then we have to deal with the emotional and the, spiritual aspects of the brokenness that we deal with. And many of our folks have came from real dysfunction in their life and have experienced a lot of trauma. And so we have to deal with all those as well. So, and old houses, old houses, there's always something going wrong. There's always an emergency in people's lives and at the houses. And so I still am on a 4-hour sleep schedule after 25 years. That's it. I lived with the girls in the main house for 12 years. And so I'll give you an example of my life. Everybody calls me mom. They don't have to, but that's what they do because I am a mama to them. And I would be in the bath. This example of my life for 12 years. I'd be taking a bath where the girls would come in, sit on the toilet, and start talking at me. And I'd say, honey, I'm taking a bath. And they'd say, oh, you're not bothering me. It's like, okay, I'm glad I'm not bothering you. But so many needs, people trying to rebuild their lives, and they want to do it now. And it's a process, of course, because if you have destroyed your whole life, it takes time to pick up the pieces and get everything back on track. So
share with us, Bobbi-Jo, how do these men and women come to you? Are they vetted? Do they have to do an application? And then what happens once they, quote, move in?
They fill out an application, and that is only because they have to be pretty functioning to be here, right? You have to be able to walk down to where we have our meetings and our groups and all that. You have to be able, throughout the years, if somebody has a severe mental illness that they can't live in a group setting, of course, that would affect that. And so they have to be able to physically do some things. We encourage everybody to get jobs here. So people come to us first. It was just word of mouth because there were no places for women to go. And then they just kept coming and coming and coming. And so we have a waiting list all the time. People fill out the application. We do an over-the-phone screening with them. So our people come from homelessness. They come from incarceration, crimes that have been involved with their addiction issues, right? So forgery sometimes or theft sometimes, because when you're in your addiction, that's the only thing pushing you is to feed that addiction. And so they come from everywhere. I mean, I've had attorneys here. I've had nurses here. I've had homeless people that have been homeless for 17 years. So all walks of life, all age groups, all are welcome. We are faith-based recovery homes, but everybody is welcome. That we do not exclude from any faith. You don't have to have a belief system to come here. We just all are welcome, and we want everybody to feel at home here.
How long can someone stay, and do they have to, are there required jobs or participation?
Yes, yes. Everybody here, so they come in, once they're accepted into our program, they come in, we provide them with hygiene products, clothing, if that's necessary. They're welcome to their home. They're introduced to where everything's at in their home. Every house has a house mom or a house dad, and that is the person that has came to our program. We have 56 employees, 48.
Wow.
Yeah, 48 of the 56 have came to our program and now work here. So we are very peer driven. And so they're introduced to the community. They start participating right away, unless another thing, a lot of our folks come, they don't have ID, they don't have social security cards. So we start working on that right away. We have an assessment whether they need treatment. We are now a CARF and CSTAR accredited treatment center. Same credentialings as Full Parkway, Truman Hospital, all those for substance use disorder, which we are the first predominantly peer-ran organization to ever receive these two accreditations. It's never been done before.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. That goes to tell you the commitment and the passion that our folks have here and the willingness to go above and beyond. But they're welcomed home. They get to know their roommates, the group leaders. We are very intentional. People don't sit around here. So there are groups that start at 7:30 in the morning, and those groups go to up to 9 o'clock every evening. We provide lunch. We provide dinner for people. We come together, pray, eat dinner together, and then we have some kind of groups every evening. So here's how the program was built. Everything has been observation of a need and how we make that happen. What does this person need to go to the next level? So jobs, income is important. We have a full-time employment specialist. We have people when they come in, what are their physical needs? Do they have psychiatric needs that need tended to? We have transportation. So we take those folks to their doctor's appointments, to the Social Security to get their Social Security card, to get any psychiatric needs addressed, any medication needs. So we get, first off, you got to get somebody feeling safe, right? They have to have a safe, stable environment to live in. And then we start addressing the things that people just take for granted, IDs, Social Security cards. A lot of our people don't have GED or high set. So we have those on site for them. We have parenting classes. If they have lost their children and need to get their children back, we have a family reunification room where they can have their visits as they reestablish their relationship with their children. We have budgeting classes. We have life skill classes. You know, when we first started, the girls would have a chore, a weekly chore. So you'd maintain the kitchen this week, right? Everybody does their own dishes, but you maintain the kitchen. And so they would have that chore for a week. Well, many women, I'd have to teach them how to clean the kitchen the right way, right? And we had meal prep classes because people don't know how to cook. I've had women come into the program that have had 3 children. 3 children, gave birth to 3 children, and did not know how to operate a washer or a dryer. That sounds crazy. Or how to cook a meal, or how to budget, or so we would change the chores out every week so they would learn how to care for our home as a whole, right? And then how to budget, how to plan. This is my budget for the week. I have to buy food. What can I buy? How can I budget this in to feed my family? How do I cook? You know, all the things that we just some of us take for granted. Many of these women needed to learn, and now we do it with men as well. So really, it's teaching people how to be a whole person and be able to be productive and self-reliant. And so, yes, there are expectations. Of course, we have the treatment component now, so people complete the treatment component if necessary. If they just go into housing, we have a 2-week period where they're just around here, getting to know folks, getting to know the routines, and then our employment specialists will help them get a job. Or the treatment people have a longer span of time before they have to get employed. We also have recovery support service money, which I was one of the key people to get that established in the state of Missouri through a Missouri Coalition of Recovery Support Providers. We are NAR accredited, which means National Alliance of Recovery Residences. And so we were able to get a line item through Governor Greitens a few years back under Department of Mental Health's budget to give people a little bit of funding to cushion them to pay for their recovery housing and their services that they need as they reestablish themselves so they can get jobs and be productive.
Bobbi-Jo, at the end of the day, what is the goal for the folks that are using Healing House? To get them out on their own? Tell us what you're shooting for.
There's not an exit date. Let me say that. So they come into a beginner setting. Then once they get employed, start getting on their feet, get a sponsor, start reestablishing their life, they can move to the next level house. Then we have advanced housing. Then we have apartments. And really, they can stay as long as necessary. I have one lady here. She's got a 4th grade education. She's been with me 18 years. Miss Laverta. She will be here with me in some capacity because we're her family and she needs us. And but most people do move on. They can move into the apartments and live pretty independently, come to the community get-togethers and things like that, and go to outside meetings. But yes, we encourage people to move on. I call them my kids. I had 4 of my kids become first homeowners this last year. First Federal does budgeting classes and first-time homeownership classes with their people. And so the goal is for them to be self-reliant and move on and be thriving members of the community, whatever community. So they get established with their, we do a lot of social. There's a lot of social aspect to what we do too. So we have family get-togethers, all holidays. We have recovery dances. We have family day at the park. We do all kinds of things just to get what most people would think is normalcy back. we have to reestablish that because we have not had that normalcy in our lives. So they learn to also getting connected with church families and, different outlets, recovery home groups, job things, just all the things that they need so they can feel whole and complete and that they're part of something bigger than themselves. Yes, our goal is for people to achieve and continue on in their recovery journey and to be able to provide for themselves and their family and live a life that has joy in it. The thing for me in my addiction, I never felt like I had a place in this world. I was always lost. I never felt part of. And we all need that. We all need to belong somewhere. And they belong to this family as long as they want to. That's why I've got thousands of kids everywhere and tons of grandbabies. And I see what this place, and there's no place like this in the world. If somebody has a loved one that's dealing with addiction, this place has a miraculous healing that transpires physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Healing House, it took me a year and a half to name this place, but what I continue to see was not just physical healing, but emotional and spiritual healing. And it was just incredible.
And it's healinghouse.org is your website. We have just a moment left. Volunteers, do you need them?
Yes, always. You can go to our website, healinghousekc.org, and there is volunteer opportunities there. And all kinds of things. We take clothing donations, gently used clothing donation. We take household items. And so we have a truck to come pick up large items and all kinds of ways you can get involved. We have a community garden, babysitters. We have 30 kids that live on site. I had 6 pregnant women, so baby showers. And we've had 2 births in the last week and 4 more to come. We have a pregnant women's home, a new mother's home. So we're doing it all here. And of course, there's 222 adults that live here and 32 kids now. And the need is great. And so all kinds of opportunities, help in the kitchen, help serving, whatever. If you go to our website and want to hit the volunteer, we have Rachel is our volunteer coordinator, even groups. If you want to come for a tour or come as a group and do a big project, we love that as well. Always need help.
Bobbi-Jo, the work that you're doing is just amazing. It's Healing House KC. Please go check them out. Heart, soul, and helping human beings. So thank you. Yes. And thank you for sharing your story with us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us for KC Cares. We're Kansas City's nonprofit voice, and we're produced by a nonprofit that's called Charitable Communications. Now, to be a guest on KC Cares, you can go to our website, which is kccaresonline.org. Spread love. You'll find us on Facebook and Twitter at KC Cares Radio and on Instagram at KC Cares Online. And don't forget, Saturday mornings at 8 a.m., you can catch us on ESPN 1510 a.m. and 94.5 FM. Thank you for joining us on KC Cares.